Hello, everybody. We are all broadcasting live here today. So I'm joined by Therese Potter. Where are you today, Therese?
I am in North Carolina, Apex, North Carolina, where it's cold, oddly enough.
I am in Fayetteville, Arkansas today, coming at you.
Awesome. And then the one and only the diva, where are you?
I'm currently in Kansas City, Missouri at an airport terminal.
And I am at the brand new Delta Sky Lounge in Kansas City. So we are breaking in Sky Lounge. This could be the first Facebook live presentation ever, but we're gathered here today to talk about the biggest problem that we have in the industry right now. The biggest problem we have in the industry right now is tackling this rate crisis that we have. And what it's doing is it's paralyzing agencies. We're getting stuck. We're having experienced high staff burnout. The companies are really hard to work with. And we're coupling all that with burnout, low team morale, and a whole slew of other symptoms that we have going on. So I think, for today's live, we really want to focus on what are the solutions that agencies can have if you're facing these same things, right? So if your agency is facing low morale, burnout, and difficulty in handling rate increases, give us a shout out in the comments. We would love, love, love to see that because we know what's happening. So I'm going to lean on Stephen here real quick. Stephen, what is our response to holding retention strong in these kind of economic times?
I think we have to really build a relationship with our insured so that they know we're there for them. We have to stop ignoring the low touch, low maintenance clients that are going out the back door right now because they're seeing something better down the road when they're hearing about what's happening from the market, but it's not from us.
Absolutely. And our big solution to a lot of this is the agencies. I'm just going to give you guys a big tick of agencies that aren't stuck. Agencies that have been on our renewal review call program for a couple years now are crushing it because they are well positioned and optimized to take an advantage of this marketplace that we're in. And what we're seeing is the agencies who are stuck, we have struggling culture. We don't have processes and procedures. We don't have clear job descriptions. Really what we're doing is we're treading water. And agency owners and producers are saying shop everything. The team's like, I can't shop everything, and people are going crazy. So the renewal review call program is a huge key to success, and it is our course for this month. We actually just rehabilitated it, modernized it, gave it a huge facelift for this marketplace. So Bobby, what is your take on retention and how do we retain customers here?
I think being proactive is so important. We need to make sure that our clients know that we're there for them during these difficult times. They get these huge rate increases and nobody's called to tell them. And what is the first thing they're going to do? They're going to run out and they're going to shop. Hi, Casey Armstrong from Apple Valley, California. So we need to be proactive. We need to make sure that our clients know that we're there for them.
Absolutely. And I think that we can't be scared. I know, Therese, you and I have talked about this from time to time. There's a false belief out in the industry that we don't want to poke the sleeping bear, right? If we contact our customers, they will shop. And I know I have my strong opinions on that. But Therese, what say you on that?
I think that sleeping bear may be our people, our customers that we need to care more about. Our customers are the bread and butter. They are what make our agencies what they are. They pay us, and we are kind of like, oh no, let me not call them because they may have a rate increase. But we should be doing the exact opposite. We should be giving them wow customer service. We should be calling them. We should be building rapport. We should be getting to know them and making their insurance as important to them as it is to us. And I think we forget to do that. We as insurance agents, we just keep going and we want to sell, but we forget about that back door. And we've got to make sure that our agents and our agencies are making our clients that most important thing. And that's exactly what they are. They're our most important asset, and we need to protect their assets by taking care of them.
Absolutely. We have Cheryl Baker. Hello from Washington. I don't know if Cheryl's in Washington, D.C. or Washington State, but maybe that's a little Stephen shout out.
I love Washington State and D.C., but preferably State.
You might be heading there right now in a few minutes.
I might be headed there in just a few. Oh, State. Thank you, Cheryl.
So, when we work our current book of business, I think a lot of it is like more work. But the reality is if we're doing this right, it's opportunity. And what do I mean by that? It's opportunity to clean up the book. It's opportunity to get better contact information. It's opportunity, and I want to talk about this in a second with how we manage our time in this environment, but it's opportunity to get people on EFT and pay in full and slow down those calls. It's opportunity to find mistakes. It's opportunity to cross-sell. It's opportunity to increase coverage, ask for referrals, get Google reviews. And so in many instances, what we're looking at in this marketplace, it's almost like we need our account managers to be the best salespeople in the whole agency. And some people might fight me on that and say, no, we want our producers out producing. And I said, you know, the biggest sale we have right now is keeping people happy with 11 to 20% rate increases. And we need to give our account managers tools on how to do that. And so if you have a whole team that's on that front line and we haven't given them scripts, a process, what to say, who to remarket, we're literally telling them, do whatever you think is best, which is fine, but we're going to end up in a big pickle at the end of the day. And so it's time for agency leaders to lead the team through a difficult marketplace. And in order to do that, a great account manager loves a good process. And that's what this renewal review course is going to take us through, is you literally get our form, which I think personally, I could be biased because I created it, but I think our renewal review form is the most badass thing out there, because on Thursday afternoon at 3:30, when I have half a working brain cell, I can pop that form open and just take the next step in line and have a universal renewal review for every single customer. So I'm going to put Stephen on the spot for a second, but I want to pin back to how we have to manage our time in this marketplace. But
Yeah.
Stephen, at your previous agency, we got 25 people to be renewal reviews. And I would love for you to share just, hey, the beginning, the middle, and the end. So people see the light at the end of the tunnel, because I know there's some people out there listening right now, like, I can't ask my team to make renewal calls. They are going to go pick it outside with signs or they'll leave. And it's a difficult concept, but I can promise you, if you believe for your team, like Stephen did, you will see these results. So Stephen, go for it.
So I think, first of all, we have to get the team to understand what's happening in the marketplace so that they want to reach out to the customers. And if I tell them that, hey, if we can retain the top just 10% of our clients, we can get rid of the bottom 5.
Ooh.
And they were like, what? And I'm like, so that horrible customer that calls every month, we either need them on EFT, we're going to set some rules, we're going to manage our time better with that one, so we can focus our time somewhere else, but you have to follow the process, right? And they're like, shut up, I can get rid of. I'm like, I'm not saying we're going to get rid of them, but we're not going to make it easy for them to take our time any longer. But we have to walk through the process. And it stumbled at first. I mean, it was painful to try to get in the habit of making the calls and filling out the form. And we deep dove way too far into the forms and tried to re-underwrite all the risks. So we were scuba diving, not snorkeling, as we like to say. So really what we want to get the team to do is just get comfortable even reaching out to the customers proactively and not be afraid of having the conversation about coverage or rate or whatever's coming up, because we have to be the advocate for our clients. So once they started seeing those positive results and that it wasn't as horrible as they thought it was going to be, and started making more and more of the calls, they got more efficient at them and memorized basically the renewal form. So they could just have those conversations with client more naturally, and it wasn't like, question 1, blah, blah, blah. Question 2, blah, blah, blah. And over time, we found that clients actually appreciated it and called it less, which then freed up more of our time because we were being proactive in what we were doing for our clients. Once we got into the second year, they really adored it because they're like, you called me a second time? And we're like, yeah, we do this every year. And they're like, that's amazing. And retention went up, I think, about 4 points, if I remember correctly. 4 points of retention increase from renewal reviews.
On a 25-person agency, do we understand what that shifted in a profit margin for the agency? Because it's gigantic.
And that included a large non-standard book of business. Even our non-standard book of business, I think, went up 5 to 6% in retention. So it wasn't just one thing. Like, it was overall a better experience for our clients. We were building those relationships, and clients were less mad because we were proactively talking to them.
So phone calls go
Which
down.
in turn makes your service staff very happy too, right? I mean,
And this is
they're
why I
not getting those angry calls.
100%. And this is why I wanted to talk about time management and renewal calls, because people think it's adding more to the day. There's a little uphill bump. It's kind of like running, right? In the beginning, it's just hard, and then it gets into it. But What Stephen is saying is we can clean up the book. Payments. You guys have heard me say this a million times. A payment takes 10 minutes times 12 months a year. That's 2 hours spent on one client taking payments, which we automate. We can take payments in a million different better ways. Okay. In 2 hours, do you know that you could do 8 renewal reviews? And if we take a look, and Stephen, I want to put you on the spot about the remarketing. What happened to your remarketing stats by getting proactive?
Oh, we stopped practicing what we were quoting. I think 99% of us have enough practice quoting that we knew when it was the right time and place, or if it made sense for the client ahead of time, so that we could make sure that we were using our time efficiently to remarket what we needed to remarket. So when we take a look at it, we were using our time where it needed to be spent. I mean, I know I personally have had enough practice quoting. If I never did another quote in my life, I'd be thrilled. Not saying that I don't want to still make an informed decision to bind coverage for somebody, right? But that's different than just running quotes all day just to run quotes. I want to get a rate that I can close. I want to find the coverage that the client needs. So I don't need to practice quoting. I need to work on my selling.
And I will say this, I was on the phone with an agency of mine that has been doing renewal calls now for 90 days. And the person who was the most resistant to it said on every call she did a renewal review on, she did not remarket a single one of those people on a Chubb book of business, high net worth, that has been taking rate now for 6 years. And a high net worth renewal, remarket takes 3 to 4 hours. So the key is you have to be thinking about the renewal reviews as saving time and saving energy and saving it, because if I can get people on different payments, if I can limit my remarketing, I have more time to get proactive and be the agent that everybody really truly needs and wants in this marketplace. And we're going to be in this marketplace for 2 to 3 years. So we have to build those relationships now. And we almost have to look at the renewal review call program that we have as penicillin. It's secure for all the things that are blocking up your agency. And so I want everybody to embrace that.
I think too, because we're making proactive calls, or once we start making proactive calls to clients, they might not return our call or answer it right away. We're leaving a voicemail, sending an email. But when they do call back, we're like, thank goodness you finally called me back. I was trying to reach you about that. Or they go 2-3 years, they finally reach back out and they're like, oh, I know you've tried to call me several times. Now it's important to me. So I think it changes the conversation.
I see here, Mike Salisbury, looks like you got some hailstorms. There's been bad weather all across this country. So let's be honest. When those storms rock in, there are many people that have their stomach up in their throat thinking, do these people have the right coverage? Holy macaroni, what am I doing? When you make the renewal review calls, this goes away. Okay, because we have documentation, we've reached out, we've educated, we've explained it. So when those hailstorms come, you now look like the cream of the crop, and everybody else is like, well, where's my agent? And you're already on top of it, and you already have this relationship. So I want to back up and talk. Renewals are taking longer in this marketplace right now, right? Underwriters are harder to get to. We're having more deeper conversations with clients. In a lot of ways, we have to build a relationship with our client and have a difficult conversation and deal with companies that are backlogged. This is putting extreme stress on your team, okay? And we just need to have a better widget, right? So as we're looking at time management, and I'm going to put Teresa on the spot here for a second, how do you see being proactive helping save and streamline time in an agency? Because we don't have much of it right now.
Well, our renewal review form is the key. That form walks you through step by step everything you need to do. So once they get in the habit of using that form, it takes a couple minutes to do the prep, and then you do the call. I think with the time management, if they block the time to do the calls, they start getting in the habit of the calls, they'll start seeing the results of our renewal review sheets, because they'll start using them. They'll start getting in that habit. They'll realize the phone's not ringing as much. It's funny, when stuff is not negative, we don't notice it as much. So if they're doing those calls and they're not getting all these calls coming in, they're not noticing it. But if you stop them and say, wait a minute, is your phone ringing more or less? They'll be like, oh, it's ringing less, because we're proactively contacting these clients. And when we do that, we avoid the client calling into us all angry and all upset. and we're avoiding the client being upset, which is fabulous. You're calling them, they're not expecting your call. So it's great because you can just say, hey, I'm here because I want to help you protect what's most important to you. So when something does go wrong and they do call us, we have that rapport, we've built it, we know what we're doing, and they know everything they need to know about the insurance because we're educating them. You know, we're not saying, oh, you don't know anything about insurance, but we're talking through insurance with them and making them see the value.
And I love what you said there, because I think one of the keys to this renewal call program, it's also kind of counterintuitive. So some people on here might give me some haterade, and that's okay. I love a good negative comment on social media. So it is actually the best thing you could do to put a green new insurance person on is renewal reviews, because they have the time to prepare and go ahead and know what they want to say. Where we put a green person on, whatever calls in, whatever is this, people upset, they don't have the confidence yet. But I can teach them to use the management system, the carrier website, and they just have to ask the next question in line. And if they get stuck, say, absolutely, I'm going to look into that for you. And we train a green person. And by the way, sometimes it's easier to get a new person to make renewal review calls than it is somebody who's been doing the job for 20 years and getting them to change. And the new people eat this up because they're like, I know what to do. I know what to do next, because I don't have the same experience or confidence as that other person out there. So this is my guideline and guidebook. And I'll say, I know, Stephen, you put a lot of newer people through this, and you saw that same scenario.
We knew that it was important to get the calls made. So one of the things we had to do was we had some of our newer staff fill out the call sheets for other people to make the calls as well, because they were so struggling with trying to re-underwrite everything and find every little nitty-picky detail they could. And I'm like, you don't need that. Almost half the people never answered or called back. We're just trying to document the file and be prepared if they do answer. So we have to remember, we have to make the calls. Filling out the forms is important, but we need to make the calls. So the newer team, we had fill out the forms and assign them to whoever they needed to go to, just to get comfortable with what were the coverages, what should they be looking for. Like when a client calls in to make a payment, should we be proactively talking about coverage or missing lines of business? Can we offer things not during a renewal? And it really took it to the next level, because the new team was learning what our standards were as an agency. They were pointing them out, and then we get so excited and be like, so and so called in and I looked at their review sheet and they were calling to make a payment, but I increased their liability on their auto. And we were like, that's perfect. That's absolutely what we want to do. So they were learning new coverage and learning ways to upsell in a very proactive manner.
Yeah. So if you have green people, which we all, I think, have welcomed new people to this industry over the past few years, this is awesome to help them grow and develop. I did see Mike Salisbury says we were his vacation buddies. Mike, I mean, where were you? We would have come down and hung out with you at the beach, we would have been there. But I want to just do a quick little show here. If you guys are making renewal review calls, I'd love for you to drop a chat. Just are you not? Just give us some feedback where you are. Have you tried? I think the hardest part about the renewal review calls, people will say, well, we tried, it didn't work. Well, that's because either you got pushback or you fought it, and that was a difficult scenario as well. But our goal is really to be the agent that we want to be. So in this marketplace, we need to level up our game. So the clients that we work with have been putting in that hard work of job descriptions and expectations and metrics. And so one of the things that's amazing to do is now watch is like those people that have been putting that hard work are going to capitalize in this marketplace. The ones that have not been putting in the hard work, unfortunately, you know what they're going to do? They're going to keep scrambling. They're going to burn out their team. And I want to turn over to Bobby. I know we're getting some questions, and we will go to Q&A in a few seconds. So throw your questions in right now. We will get to all of them. But Bobby, what are your tips for people keeping their team morale up high in this chaotic marketplace that we're in right now?
Yeah, I think right now people can be very stressed, very overwhelmed. We're seeing some team burnout and people getting stressed. But I think as leaders, we need to be there to support our people. Be the leader and be there to help your people and make their day. We all come in and we have those things that we have to do in that day, and maybe it might drag us down, and as a leader it might be nice for me to be able to say, how can I help you today, right? And take some of those things off of their plate that might be dragging your team down. In addition to that, giving them the support they need with the checklist, with the renewal review calls, with scripts, right? Empower them to be able to be confident in the things that they're doing. I think just like Kelly was talking about with those green people, there is nothing that will make someone more confident than when they know exactly what they need to do and exactly what they need to say. And that's what we're here to do, is help with that, help you prepare your team to crush it.
And our new course does launch next Friday, so the 15th. So you can actually get it now if you want to subscribe, pre-sale, and it will drop in next Friday. So if you want to take advantage of learning how to get your team on renewal reviews, definitely do that. You can also work with us. We can work virtually, in person, or through our school. So I have definitely been flown out to many agencies to let people know they're going to make every renewal review, because it's a little daunting as a leader to tell people that. And I have definitely thought about buying a bulletproof vest when telling some people that we're going to make every renewal review.
I like to wear lots of jewelry when we have to do that, just so I can defend myself in the parking lot.
But it's amazing
Your
to
wood
see
here.
too. I do want to touch on this before we hit some questions here. So keep your questions coming in. The most rewarding thing that I get to do, it actually happened this morning on a call where we announced that this is what we're going to do. We see everybody get terrified. I don't understand how we're going to do it. I can't keep up as it is. And they're literally like, just everybody's going to want to be reshopped. What am I going to say to these people? Like, the FUD comes in, right? The fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And remember, we're insurance. All we do is underwrite risk. So immediately when something new comes in, we start getting flooded with the panic and I don't know what to do. I'm not sure how to do it. And then if we take it 90 days later, they're like, I like these. I kind of like them. Not everybody. I'm not going to get that Pollyanna about it. There are definitely some people who are still like, man, I'll do them if I have to. But there's a vast majority of people who didn't believe they could do it. And when they get to 90 days, they realize they can. Now they start having some fun with the cross-selling and coverage increases and asking for referrals, because it's much easier to ask for a referral when you built a relationship up with somebody. When all you've done is taken a person's payment or done a certificate and you don't even really know them, asking for a referral is actually really kind of awkward to some people. But if I built that relationship over a year or two, now I'm like, hey, your sister need insurance? And so that's why we're saying that these renewal reviews are the key for everything. Relationship solves so many errors. And in our WOW customer service class, we talk about the piggy bank, the client piggy bank, and we have to put deposits in, because right now this market, there you go. There's our client piggy bank. Therese has modeling. Actually, it was funny. I wasn't sure if kids today have piggy banks or if that was like a really passe thing. I had to inquire if children still have piggy banks or if it's just like cryptocurrency purses or something. Like I didn't know. Turns out piggy banks are still a thing. So that is good. Our piggy bank model still works. I'm not that old yet. But this market is going to ask for withdrawals with heavy rate increases. So if those client piggy banks are low and a big rate increase comes in, guess what we don't have? We don't have enough bandwidth for that withdrawal. And we need to keep adding to it and adding to it. And that's what these renewal review calls really do. So how about we take a few questions and then we can also add in any tips or anything that you guys have. So I'm going to look kind of through this here.
So one of the questions was from Nancy Nicklow, if you don't mind me taking over for a second. How do you document renewal calls that were never contacted? So that way the insured calls in later during the year, we can review it and those can be done. I think that's super important. So in every management system, it's a little bit different, but like we had action codes that were like star, renewal review attempt, renewal review complete. So the team could look through the last several log notes and just see it quickly. Other systems you can flag or tag. So you would create a client note, a sticky note, a client flag that says account review attempted. And that way we would know it wasn't completed. So it's just right there, big and bold. But I think it's just important to, anytime somebody calls in, be on the lookout for things we can change, recommendations we can make, and look at those coverages. I think it becomes more of a daily habit the more we get used to the renewal process.
I'll also couple with that, we teach people, especially in WOW customer service, that one of the first things you need to do when a client calls in is look at their activities. So a lot of us go into transaction mode, but hold on, stop. Let me go get myself what happened the past year, and you could see it there. Now, sometimes you get flooded with downloads and everything else. So I'd say, on some accounts, it's not as easier as others, but it should be pretty easy on most of them to go back to that activity. I think Nancy's on Epic, so you could look and say, did I close this renewal call successful or unsuccessful? Unsuccessful means we didn't talk to the person, and go pop that open. Now, another thing we also teach on WOW customer service is, I love on calls just saying, hey, Therese, while I have you, if I find any missing coverages or missing discounts, do you want me to bring them to your attention? And that would be my trigger to even pull up if I did a renewal review. Well, hey, when we did a review, we talked about that. Are you sure you don't want a life quote? And so even if you did a review, you could still pull that back up just as a friendly reminder for some of the things that maybe you recommend as well. So it could be a matter of maybe it doesn't even matter if they did complete the review. We just keep going back to the recommendation scenario. But to Stephen's point, every system is different. I'm not a huge sticky note fan because depending on your system, it just kind of clogs everything up. But I am a huge fan of going and looking at all the activities and just before you even do anything, just as a good hygiene for what's to come. So Cheryl says, they make renewal calls for their updates. Mike says he had to watch the time management course, but I think Mike's a believer now as far as that goes.
What's funny is I actually talked with Mike a couple of weeks ago before he was going on vacation, and he's like me, we get up extra early and our spouses don't. So he's like, if I can do something for a couple hours every morning, what would it be? And I'm like, the online school, watch the videos, look at the documents. And he was just commenting that that's what he's been doing when he was on vacation last week.
So Tara Reed also said they haven't started renewal calls, but it's our attitude knowing what to say. I think, some of the pushback we get, Tigger, there we go. Tigger's there.
Tiggers.
Some of the things that I'll hear when doing that, it's well, that's a cold call. And I have to fix my face. I need Botox when I hear that because I want my face frozen. And I think I've mastered the frozen face because these are not cold calls either, right? So these are warm customers. These are people who are paying us. A cold call is from the phone book. And I've had jobs where I had to do that. This is a warm call, but it's that mentality of we don't want to bother our customers. When they need us, they call us. But lo and behold, if I bought insurance from you 5 years ago and I haven't needed anything, I don't even remember who you are. And my insurance comes out EFT, it says travelers. It doesn't say your insurance, carrier. And so we have to build those relationships. If that's the case and people really are resistant and they just want to do transactions or telling you they're more of a fast service person than they are an account manager.
And I'd like to add to that. Your attitude is so important. If you're calling them and saying, oh, hi, this is Therese, like an Eeyore, you have to be excited about it. So if you're having a bad day, don't do the calls when you're having a bad day. Wait for the next day. Now you can't, if you have 4 bad days, then we're not going to even go there. You can't have 4 bad days. Okay. So if it's Monday and you're having a bad Monday, save them for Tuesday. But if you're excited about the call and you're excited about what you're covering for let's say you find somebody with state minimum limits or their rental car is lower than what it should be, you should be excited about explaining to them that you found something that they really need. Because can you imagine if somebody with 5 kids with a minivan, something happened and they needed to rent a car and they only had $30 a day? That's not going to cover a rental car for that family. So you are actually saving that family from heartache and problems and issues when it comes to a claim. So our attitude has so much to do with it. We need to really rethink that. And Brad said, I would like to have the time. And that's just it. We have to make the time. We have to make that. We all have the same amount of time in the day. We have to make it. Go ahead, Steven.
What if we just tried with 1 call a day? Can I make 1 proactive call a day? It's still better than 0 or 1 a week. Anything's better than nothing. So I think just trying to get used to or getting in the habit of it is one of the biggest challenges.
Well, I'm going to go back to help Tara too. So Tara, the good thing about this course is there are actual role play videos with renewal reviews. So if your team is better hearing how it goes, we've got that. We've got scripts in the new course too. So there's everything from you get to hear us role playing out a call to you get to have this. And what I'd say is this to give everybody a little bit of courage, because it's the FFT. We call it the freaking first time. Replace freaking with any F word of your choice. I have definitely replaced it with
Fabulous fun time.
fantastic or another
Fabulous
one that
first
we're not
time.
going to say on Good Friday because that's not right. But the freaking first time is the hardest. So make it with your team. Sit down with them. Say, let's just do it together. Let's just do it together. Or have them listen to you make a couple. And then if they do 10, I can guarantee you by their 11th, they're feeling a ton better. Account manager brain wants to do things the right way. And this is a big old gray area. I don't know what they're going to say. Everybody's going to be different. So once they get the wiggles out from 10, usually people feel a much better. So a little bit of what we do in this course too is we have a leadership guide where we actually help coach the leader of how to execute this program as well. And so I know Brad had said, I want to touch on the time side of things. I'm sorry if I get up on a soapbox, but I'm going to do it. So I think one of those things in this industry is we love being 911 operators. 911, 911, 911, 911. And we bulldoze through the day putting out fires. And really, we should be fire preventers. And so I challenge everybody here who thinks about time saying, what could be more important than reaching out to our client to make sure that they have the right insurance before there's a problem? There are very, very few things, but we operate most agencies like we're fire trucks running out, putting out fires all day long. And the reality is the best agents need to be preventing fires. And they need to be giving people the tools to prevent fires, not go ahead and, this. And then we operate in this level of chaos all the time. And that's what goes there. So you know what I would say is just like anything, people always say, I don't have time to work out, but you got 2 hours to watch The Voice. It's the fact that like you're tired and you're exhausted, but sometimes you have to make a commitment and say, I need to do this. And Stephen's right. Do 1 call a day, then do 2, then do 3. But the goal is like, you have to believe that this is the cure and you have to believe that this is work and that this is going to work. And we have all the stats to prove that it does work. In fact, we have agencies where, maybe they had a short staff issue, right? Some people left or medical leave happened and they had to go back to that firefighting mode. And the second they get full staff, what they say is back to renewal calls. I hate not doing them. In fact, the agency I talked to this morning, she's like, they're having a download issue where they're not getting all the activities. She's like, now I'm mad when people call because I'm not prepared, where before that's all I did all day long. And she's like, I just didn't realize how different it is. So it's kind of like understanding this is preventative medicine. And if you don't indicate part of your day to get that going, it can be a difficult scenario. So, I think that's another scenario. So Casey Armstrong, we will love to chat with you. We'll have somebody reach out to you for sure. No problem on that. So, I think that's another key right there. But, I'll just say this. It's like, this was one of the first programs that I got to put together, and it was the hardest program. And so time management, fun. Wow, customer service, cool. Sales, yay. Renewal calls, want. Now the rubber meets the road. But it is the belief that right now in this marketplace, we will stick out from the crowd if we can do this. So we'll take any final questions. We'll give everybody a minute or two, say hi, put a question in if you have it, but watch out for our course launching. Again, you can get it right now. So if you want to pre-buy it, it'll drop next Friday. It walks the leader through everything step by step. We have management systems set up, guys, for QQ, AMS 360, HawkSoft, Epic. We are working on an EasyLinks one. I'm hoping it will be ready by then, but EasyLinks as well, so you can align your whole tech stack to do this correctly. We literally walk people through the why. We walk them through the how. We have how to handle rate, how to cross-sell, how to increase coverage, how to manage your time to make these happen. So it is literally our program in a box that we would come out and do with you. So you either get to work with one of our smiling, lovely faces, everyone smile, virtually or in person, I think that that's a scenario that is really cool too, that you can work with one of us. And I don't know what it is. We were lucky to grab Stephen from an agency that we work with when they sold to private equity, but there is something about having an outsider come in and say the same thing you are saying,
Well,
and
and
piss you off.
that was my biggest frustration with APP is Kelly would come in and be like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, and they're like, Kelly says, I'm like, I've told you that 47,000 times. And I would call Kelly or message Kelly and be like, so the team loves you. And sometimes I use you as the bad guy too. Like, do you want me to call Kelly and tell her you didn't do your calls? And they're like, no, I don't want Kelly to be mad at me. I'm like, but Kelly was a villain like a week ago. Now you love her. So I think it's hilarious that you said that.
Well, it is funny too, because people, by the way, you could always use my name anytime you want. Like anybody out there, just be like, well, Kelly, I was talking to Kelly and she said this. If that works for you, by all means, go for it. It doesn't bother me at all. But I think one time Stephen even said, hey, if we can make all our renewal calls, Kelly said she might drop into our next team meeting.
I made it a point to make all their calls so that I could have Kelly join one of our meetings. It was hilarious.
And I've got other agencies like bribing people, like, I will give you $200 to make all your renewal calls. And I'm like, it's got to be part of their job, right? Like this has to be part of the heart of serving the customer. So we appreciate you guys so much, but I know that, we want to be respectful to your time on Good Friday here. We hope everybody has a really holiday weekend. Anton, good to see you. See a little shout out there. But take a look for it. Renewal review calls. You get all of the tools, right? So you have to do literally just execute the program. You don't have to think about it, recreate the wheel. You don't even have to think about how to set up your management system. We've got all that going for you. So we hope to see you guys all as new students in our school, or reach out to us and work directly. But I hope everybody has a great holiday weekend. We enjoy some spring weather. I hope all of you guys out there in states with bad weather, we're thinking about you. It is very, very difficult and tough. But this is why we exist too, is to be there for our clients. So thank you to this great team. Everybody give them a round of applause for putting together this course. Yes, I know. By the way, guys, these courses are not simple or easy to put together. So there is a mass chaos that ensues about 4 weeks earlier from this. So this is the fun part, but we had some people that were maybe a little stressed coming up to it. So
shout out to Joy. She's on here too.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah, Joy, good to see you. Good to see you guys. So happy Easter, everybody. Happy Passover. And hopefully we will see you guys next week when we drop the course. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Take care.